Okay, good morning. Today is June the 1st, and it's a little bit after 7 o'clock. And usually I do a pre-market live show, but we're not going to go pre-market live today because I am experiencing the joys of travel. I'm in a hotel that's very nice. It's beautiful over here in Savannah, Georgia, and the hotel speed for the internet is not fast enough to actually stream. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to do a pre-recorded pre-market live show here today. And I got a lot of stuff to go over. The markets overnight are just doing some insane things, and we got to talk about it. This rally continues to run hot. As you can see from my dashboard here, we're pushing the speedometer all the way down into the as high as it can go. But you can see that the heat in the engine is actually heating up. We got oil is actually up today, and yet the market does not care. The Iran conflict seems to be escalating rather than de-escalating. So very interesting. But we just continue to put the pedal to the metal and just rock and roll. So let's go ahead and let's get into today's report, okay? All right, so let's start as we always do with FinViz. Great website if you guys don't know about it, but you might want to actually check it out. We just do this so we could actually get a quick look at exactly what is going on in the market right now. And you can see that the market is actually up slightly, right? It's kind of flat when you're looking at it. It's interesting that the Russell's actually the laggard in the group, and actually the Dow, as we'll see when we do the charts, is actually leading the way. But the NASDAQ is having a pretty nice run, and the NASDAQ being over the SPY to me is a little bit of a positive factor in regards to the market. The VIX is flat, slightly up but flat. Same thing with the dollar. Dollar is slightly up, but it's still flat. But here's the number that actually is really kind of fascinating to me, and that's that crude oil is actually up significantly. Look at this, 3%. Almost 4% up on crude oil. And yet the bonds, they're barely reacting. The VIX is barely reacting. And the dollar is barely reacting. So, and on top of that, once again, the stock market is up. So what gives? Because usually these things are all in inverse relationships to each other. Now, gold continues to be the skeptic in the room. Gold is saying, you know what, I don't like this, and I'm going to wait and see if I want to actually pull up. Silver's kind of now trading halfway between gold. Whoops, sorry about this. Halfway between gold and the other metals, but then the other metals in the group here actually are mixed. You have platinum up, copper up, and palladium is actually flat to down. But all in all, you would expect on a 3% move, you would expect to see some real reactions here in the metals, and also really just this entire move just doesn't make sense, honestly, unless we just, you know what, maybe it's the taco trade. We figure that, okay, it's oil's up, escalations have re-escalated, and yet we're going to get some kind of huge taco today. So therefore, be ready to actually run up on that and don't even worry about what's going on with that. I could see that. I guess that actually makes some sense. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at my pre-market report. Okay, I send this pre-market report out to people usually around 5:30 in the morning. Today it ended up going out a little bit late because once again with these travel situations that I'm having, it was a little bit of a problem. Guys, this pre-market report is the bomb. And if you want to actually have an advantage, if you want to have an edge going into the market, you sign up on my website at stockchartistry.com to get this pre-market report. This report has trading plans in it. It has, I called out IBM and Oracle and ServiceNow On Friday, long before they went up 10% and 7% and 8%, you could have made so much money. Now, this pre-market report, it's free for you for the first 30 days, and then after that, I'm charging $5.99 for the pre-market report. And you can sign up for it right here on my website, stockchartistry.com. There it is, stockchartistry.com. There's a button right on the front page, Market Intelligence Reports. Go ahead and sign up there. Get yourself a 30-day free offering of the Market Intelligence Reports, and then and really, have the trading edge. Let's go ahead and let's get into it. Okay, so there's an event that's happening this week, and Microsoft actually is going to be a big part of that event on Tuesday. And they're talking a lot about NVIDIA, so you're seeing some real catalysts here for Microsoft and NVIDIA. Amongst these catalysts, as you can see from this report, this is for June the 2nd and June the 3rd, right? But amongst these catalysts, you'll see ServiceNow, IBM, and these other ones all may actually participate in this. So, and once again, this is the benefit of the report. So it says, hey, watch these tickers right here if you start to see them move. But it looks to me like going into the pre-market, we're seeing some amazing moves with these things, and I'm going to get into those in a second when I do my dashboards. But you're actually looking at a lot of those stocks are already up. And so then SpaceX, we got some really interesting news on that. They're waiving the 12-month trading and the 4-quarter profitability requirements and some other things. And so this is going to be some interesting things, because money has got to come from somewhere, and it looks like a lot of money is going to be going into these IPOs. And so maybe this could actually be a little bit of a pullback on some of the high flyers that have been flying so high lately into something like that. So we want to keep an eye on that. The AI speculation is just going nuts still, and it's actually going nuts now, basically in the software and the cybersecurity space. And even though oil is up, AI doesn't care. Okay, the AI party is continuing on. So yes, oil is flashing a warning signal. You're going to have to keep an eye on oil. Are the regular trading hours going to make the pre-market hours actually pay for this move up? It's a good possibility. When I say pay, I mean that they'll actually probably drive the tape down on the open. So QQQ leading, IWM is lagging. Yeah, the breadth, it's still pretty bad. But it's actually expanding in the speculative space, So with your quantum, your drones, your space, your AI, your software stocks, all of these stocks are actually expanding the AI narrative. The AI narrative was really kind of primarily in the hardware space and in the memory space. So this is pretty big. Nice watch list right here. Put these items on your watch list. They are huge movers right now, very, very strong movers and catalysts. So the key catalyst map, this Computex is going to actually help, probably help NVIDIA and Microsoft. Watch ARM as well, AVGO. AVGO actually has reports earnings this week too as well. So and speaking of reporting earnings, I had a most anticipated earnings, but I don't have it now. So I guess we'll have to skip past it. In the keynotes, you're going to want to watch ServiceNow and Microsoft and IBM. And then the most anticipated earnings for the week. So here's your earnings list. I don't have the the usual diagram of that, but you can see AVGO is actually Wednesday after the close. You also got CrowdStrike, but then Tuesday after the close, we're going to get PanW after the close. We're also going to get Alta and I think Dollar General's in here. So those are ones to watch as far as the consumer goes. I would expect the Dollar General would do pretty well, considering that the retail space for, and also Five, by the way, is actually reporting. So the retail space for discount stores has actually done pretty well. It'd be kind of interesting to see what happens here with Lululemon on Thursday, huh? So there's Lululemon on Thursday. And once again, this is all in the pre-market report. I'm going to go over to the charts here in just a second, just kind of taking a further look down. So you also have your high impact calendar here, which also lays everything out for you. The Monday reports are really awesome because not only do we actually look at what's going on for that day, but we kind of extend it out, as you can see, into what is the high impact things to be thinking about for the week. So we're going to be taking a look at that. And then right here, we want to be paying attention here to the economic calendar. So ISM, that comes out today around 10 o'clock. You got JOLTS on Tuesday, ADP on Wednesday. Crude oil inventories on Wednesday also. And this is probably a big one. The payrolls, wages, and unemployment, will that narrative finally actually come back into play? Not sure. We'll have to end up seeing. On the dashboards, let's just go ahead and take a look at my dashboards right now to see exactly where they're at. So here you are. This is my dashboards. And this is included in the report, as you saw, but these are actually up to the minute right now about what's going on. And you can see the crude oil is actually just going nuts. It's almost up to 4%. It is having a little bit of a pullback in the more lower time frames. Okay, so maybe not so bad, but the Dow's actually leading the way. And then after that, we're kind of flat to down right now. And Bitcoin just can't seem to get any legs. So Bitcoin actually was down 1% last week, and it's down 1% today. We're not going to talk about this section because this section is basically just kind of flat, so nothing to really talk about there, nothing to see there. In the sectors here, you've got XLK leading the way and XLE leading the way. It seems to me that this is not going to continue to remain. One of these two has to actually fall back, but maybe this AI frenzy actually can continue. In Jumbotron, Oracle is just killing it. Look at what Oracle did for the week last week, 17% for the week last week. It's up almost 4% today. Microsoft had 8%. For a stock that big, for Microsoft to be up 8%, and now up 4% in the pre-market is huge. And then NVIDIA, once again, because of this Computex conference, I believe that they're front-running NVIDIA right now, almost up 3% in the pre-market. And the rest of Jumbotron is flat, other than AMD and Google. AMD is actually giving back quite a few gains right now, down 4% on the pre-market, but it was up 10% for the week. So once again, will money start to fly out of these high flyers and actually begin flying into these software stocks? This is something that we began seeing last week, because if you look down here on the IGV, which is leading the market again today, but the IGV last week had an 8% move for the week, and so that's huge. And then on top of that, we also want to look at this. Look at cyber, CIBR. So that's cybersecurity, which is also a big part of IGV, but it was up almost 6%. And going into the week right now, it's up over 2%. So your leaders are your software sectors and your cybersecurity, and those are driving up the XLK. And then look at this. The China trade actually has been just a terrible trade lately. It was a terrible trade last week, but maybe there's a little bit of money starting to move into that. So what is this saying to me? When I'm looking at my dashboard, what this is saying to me is, maybe it's time for a little bit of money, a little bit of profit taking to come out of these stocks right here. Where is semis? There's semis down here. There it is. SMH is down here. It's only down 0.19%, but that has been the leader every single day practically for like the last month or two. So now a little bit of money coming out of the semis, out of the high flyers, out of maybe the Microns, out of the Intels, and going into Microsoft, going into IBM, into Oracle. And these stocks have a lot of room to run, so we want to keep an eye on them. And so once again, look at this. Here's Intel, and it gave back 7% on the week last week. And now it's actually down, it looks like 6% for the week right now. And look at this, Space. Space was up 90% last week, and is up 20% in the pre-market. And SoFi, keeping an eye on SoFi. We need to watch SoFi. We need to watch ONDS, Nokia. So these are your new ServiceNow. Look what ServiceNow did last week, up 21%. Look at BBAI, up over 20% last week. It's up 3% today. This is why the dashboard, I'm not showing you charts right now. Everybody loves to look at charts, but these dashboards are huge because it gives you a real feel about where is the money going right now. And the money's going into these well, they're becoming high flyers now, but they were not high flyers a month ago, the software industry. So CoreWeave is doing very well. Here's your gap ups right here. Oracle, Palantir. Look at Palantir up 15%. We're going to look at a lot of these charts in just a second. So going down here, looking at the pre-market gap downs. Okay, what I noticed about the pre-market gap downs is most of those were actually high flyers for the week. This is the weekly percent really for last week, right? So RDW is down 7-8% this week, but it was up almost 50% last week. So what's happening now is this is not necessarily a bearish pullback. This is possibly just a retracement, and it's actually, once it actually price settles down, it's actually a possibility of a rebuy. On Intel, possibly, Intel and Micron, maybe some of those are actually going to be putting in some higher lows. And they have a lot more to actually give back because these stocks have actually gone 2, 3, 4x in the last couple of months. Micron is not on this list. I think Micron is Micron on my Micron. It's not on my high volume list either. So it'd be interesting to see what's going on with Micron. So let's put that in our ideas here. These HODWs, these are actually your breakout play opportunities right here. If you have a screen capture tool, you might want to do the screen capture on this. Oh, there's Micron right there. So Micron still continues to actually be strong. It ran up 30% last week, and it's up almost 4% in the pre-market. Same with SNDK. You just can't really get away from the idea that the memory shortage is actually there. I do wonder when the possibility of we're going to run into physical limitations with the fact that maybe there is this demand, but you can't actually create enough because you have a physical limitation that you just can't do it. So that could actually come into play. Apple is at near-term highs right now. Apple could be a breakout play opportunity. Same with Qualcomm. Qualcomm's giving back a lot right now in the pre-market, but if you look at Qualcomm on its chart, it's very near the highs. And look at Okta. From last week it ran up 33%, and then from the open on Friday, look at that, it ran up 15%, and now today in the pre-market it continues to be up in near the 2.5%, trying to push the 3% range. These are your low of the days. These are actually your breakdown opportunities. The market gets weak, then you could look for shorts in that areas. These snapback highs, these are possibilities of, they've kind of reached inflection points. They're either going to consolidate at the highs where they're at and then maybe another push higher, or they're going to actually snap back. That's why it's called a snapback high. Dollar Tree's kind of has kind of run up. It ran up 22% last week, but it's kind of flat right now. So that one is consolidating, and you can see how you can see through the dashboards. Positive price action in all the time frames. Datadog is one to watch because Datadog, I believe, is in a cup and handle situation. So Datadog coming out of this consolidation could actually be a runner for you. And then the snapback low, if this can consolidate here on the lows, then you might actually get a snapback, or if it actually just begins to break out of the higher area of consolidation. So, but then if you lose that snapback low on Costco, it's actually a continuation pattern to the downside. Let's go into the charts, guys. Moving into the charts. We got to keep this show going, right? So here we go. All right, so the SPY, I got this on your you got the daily time frame here, you got a 4-hour time frame here, so it's a multi-time frame view, a 1-hour time frame here, and then your 15-minute time frame here. So you can see that we're in an upward channel. The channel is actually, we had a momentum like this, but the momentum now is actually kind of slowing down a little bit, but it's still carrying and it's still strong, and we have not lost the momentum at all. We seem to be following now this 20-period moving average, as you can see right here, with the bottom of the channel that I've drawn in, and we've had a couple, like 2 reactions off the bottom of the channel. That channel was actually created off of the top here, where you could see that it was a very clear channel on the top. So we actually recreated that channel right down here on the bottom, and it's actually looking like it's very effectual. But on top of that, you got your 20-period moving average. So if it actually comes down into the bottom of this channel, into that 20-period moving average, you probably have a buy area. Your moving averages are stacked. They're stacked in almost every single, well, the major time frame on your daily and on your 4-hour time frames. Stacked moving averages is very bullish. That means that when price pulls back into those moving averages, you have people who buy off of moving averages ready to actually go ahead and buy off of those moving averages. So we're looking pretty good on the 4-hour time frame chart. We got ourselves a little bit of a upward channel going on here off of this, as you can see right there. So it's looking good. I kind of like what's going on right here, where you're actually above the middle range of this channel. The upper range of this channel, if we were to just rip up, it would end up probably taking us somewhere around 766. Probably takes up to about 766. So your 20-period moving average on the 4-hour time frame chart is 754.35. So you want to keep an eye on that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this now on the hourly time frame, get some levels. So on the hourly time frame chart, you have a pivot down here. By the way, all of these things that are already drawn in, these are part of my indicators that are on stockchartistry.com. You can actually purchase these and have these on your charts automatically, so that you don't have to wait for me on my pre-market shows. But I would still say that you should attend my pre-market shows, because I do have some information for you that I think could be helpful for you. But look at this. This is what we did. We got over top of this snapback high right here. And this was kind of what I was talking about when we were looking on the dashboards on the snapbacks. When you get into the snapbacks, if you can consolidate around the snapbacks, a lot of times it'll consolidate around the lows. But in this case, it actually overtook this seller right here. So this stock, it ran up hard, but there was a seller right there at 754, and it actually pushed it down in a minute. And so you had resistance and resistance, but then the buyers were so strong, they didn't even wait to consolidate underneath. They pushed it over top and began consolidating over top. And so this area of resistance then became support right here, as you can see. 1, 2, 3 times it actually acted as support there, and acted as support here 1, 2, 3 times as well. So what ended up happening? Well, exactly what I talked about. You get a consolidation over top of a snapback, then that's actually, instead of a snapback, it's more of a continuation pattern. So now it's actually showing a continuation up above that box. So, and it's carried this 20-period moving average. So what we're doing is we're just continuing to melt up, and we don't care what is going on with oil. So you have your 20-period moving average right up underneath of you. Your positive, and your price action is above all of the moving averages. Your 5-period moving average is kind of running sideways right here. So you can see the slopes right here. It's a neutral slope, and then you can see it because we're consolidating across the top right here. But our 20 and our 50 and our 200 are all providing upward momentum. So if price comes into this, even if it actually spikes down through it like it did here with the 20, if it retakes that 20, that's very bullish price action. So that's something to watch. Let's go ahead and get your numbers off of the 15-minute chart. So this is for the scalpers and the day traders who actually want to trade this during the day. You want to get above your pre-market high, which is the all-time high, is around 759.08. that takes you into blue sky territory. So if you want to get up above there, maybe even get a back test and run up, that would actually be beautiful price action right there. You can see that the 50-period moving average is being respected on the 15-minute time frame chart. The 20-period, because the 20-period on the 15-minute time frame chart is actually a little bit flat. The 20-period is actually offering sort of an oscillation, right? So price action was above it here, then it's down below it here, then it runs back above it here, and then it runs below it here. So that's kind of the way that price action works with a moving average that's actually running sideways, right? So your moving average is sideways. That actually acts as more a center of gravity force, right? So right now the price action is moving up above this, okay? And what we'd like to see is we like to see this moving average begin to kind of curl up, and then then it could actually be dynamic support. Right, so that's the way that works. As you can see, this moving average here is sloping up. See how it's sloping up right here? And it's offering dynamic support here, 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 and here. So when we look at that, and you have a very nice slope up right here, it actually provides dynamic support right here. See that? So that's how that works. All right. So your pre-market high and your pre-market low today is your pre-market high is actually 759.08 at 7:33 in the morning. So we'll see if that continues to hold going into the open. Your pre-market low is 757.68. So if we get, and you're looking at a balance range right now where the pre-market is actually way high on the balance range. So usually if it actually opens like that on the balance range, what I would actually look for is this. I would look for either a push into that and then coming back down into the moving averages, or the bottom of the balance range and then actually getting strong. The market right now does seem to be a little bit bullish, but there's just not enough there. Maybe there isn't enough participating in the SPY to really drive this higher, because you can see we got this amazing gap up, and now we're just kind of getting a slow melt up. So maybe for the day traders today, the tape's going to be a little bit tough, because you end up getting that the move happens in the pre-market, and then you just get this kind of choppy action in the regular trading day. But if Nvidia and Microsoft can lead the way for us, keep an eye on those two stocks. If Nvidia and Microsoft can lead the way for us, they actually have a big presence inside of the SPY, so it's a very possibility that they could actually rip it up for us, right? So let's do this. Let's go ahead. Microsoft is kind of leading the way right now, so let's go ahead and let's throw Microsoft on the charts. Let's take a look at it. So we got the daily time frame here. I want to actually zoom this out for a second, because what we got going on right here, if you look, we'll take it right to here. Let's go ahead and take this into the maximize this one. All right, look here, guys. This is a huge gap right here. That's an earnings gap right there that actually has very thin volume. So Microsoft could run into that very quickly. You have right there, and it's already kind of run into it. Now, on top of that, though, Microsoft has already put in a snapback high, and it's actually getting pushed down slightly by a 200-period moving average that has a little bit of a descending slope to it. You know, the 200-period, because it's such a long moving average, a lot of times it's somewhat flat. So this much of a slope on a 200-period moving average is actually considered pretty strong. Coming into this, I expect to actually have resistance, and we also have a trend channel that I've drawn in here. It's not a very clean trend channel. You can see there's been some oscillating in and out of it, so it could actually whip up above the top of that trend channel somewhat. But probably going to see some resistance probably somewhere around this 465, 470 area. Let's go ahead and pull those numbers really quick for you. So the 200-period moving average, as you can see, is 458.46. But I'm going to give you this number. Like if it was to continue to go all the way up to the top of that, what would that number be? So that number right there would be, and I'm not sure we can make it that far today, 460. And maybe tomorrow, yeah, it's in the 460, 465 area. And then you have a pivot right here at 465 as well. So yeah, so you're definitely going to see some resistance here, and you've already got a snapback, so that it's really extended quite a bit from the 20-period moving average. It has catalysts today, though. It has catalysts this week, and it's been beaten down. So, you're just going to have to watch the price action on this. There's no person that can be a predictor on something like this. When you're looking at the price action, I mean, the highs were over here around 560, and you can see that we're actually on a very long-term time frame. This is a weekly time frame. If I was to draw this out, we're really in a upward channel. It's just been a gradual upward channel for Microsoft. What we've seen with Microsoft lately is that it went all the way from the top, where it spiked through that upward channel, and then it actually came down to the bottom and had an equal spike through, which is something that I find very often in the markets, that whatever you end up spiking through on a channel on the top, you end up doing the exact opposite on the bottom. Very interesting the way the market ends up trading like that, isn't it? So anyhow, we are approaching the middle of that channel as well. So, and that middle of that channel, this is your major gap up right here. It doesn't quite get you all the way to the top of that gap up, but it looks like it's in about this 465, 475 area that you're just going to start to see. It's going to start to slow down now into this area. Do we get there really quickly? I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't say right now. But let's go ahead and let's look at this on the 15-minute time frames and just kind of get a quick view about where we're at. Okay, so on the balance range, we're also trading towards the top of the balance range. So that insinuates that at the open, there could be actually a push lower. However, because this one also is a high flyer right now, it's on everybody's radar, you could actually see a gap and go. If you see a gap and go, you get a 1 minute bar, you could actually trade off of the 1 minute bar, where if it breaks over the 1 minute bar, set your stop loss at the bottom of that 1 minute bar, and then you could actually see if you got a runner. That's if you want to actually get aggressive into it. A better play, if you can get it, if you're willing to actually not be in the gap and go. In other words, it could gap and go without you, and sometimes that's the way it goes. But I think a better trade would actually be letting it come down into this consolidation range right here, where you have your moving averages for support, and you also have this this trend line right here that I drew in, that's weekly support as well. So that's probably, that's one of the weekly trend lines, and I can tell you that because it's in gold. And so it either comes down into this range, or maybe it spikes through like it did right here, and it kind of touches the bottom of that. And then if you could see positive price action on that, that actually offers you a pretty good risk reward. You can jump out of that really quickly for a very small loss. But if it's actually going to continue to run, and it has the narrative, the narrative along with positive price action and a good looking chart, that's really the trifecta of what you're looking for in a stock. So Microsoft is looking pretty good. We definitely want to keep that one on your radar. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at NVIDIA. And let's look at this on the longer time frame charts. Well, you can see NVIDIA has actually been in this huge consolidation range for just the longest time, right through here. Actually, I want to do it like this. Right through here. That's just a huge amount of consolidation. It's actually tested the top of that range, and then it has a lower range in there where there's just a massive amount of consolidation right through here in this lower part of the range as well. So the price action on this is somewhat positive. The problem is that it actually has just been negative for like an entire week, and it actually all in all, I think it's dropped about 5% since the earnings, which is not good. But the earnings were just outstanding, and it even got upgrades from the earnings. You got to love over here on the 15-minute time frame all of these lower wicks here. Looks like the bears actually came in hard, and they tried to actually drive this thing down underneath 211. 212 has been my baseline on this that I've been telling you guys about, to watch 212. So they tried to drive it underneath 211, and the bulls actually were right there to buy it up. That's the funny thing about NVIDIA, is that the bears are so strongly convicted, but the bulls are as well. So you see that a lot with this stock. Let's go ahead and let's maximize the hourly time frame charts. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Look at this bear price action right here. Look at that. Look at these bars. Just huge bars. Look at these bars right here. So, and what you got going on is, so your bears are right here. Your bears are right here actually driving the price down, right? They're right here just ready to step on it, ready to step on it, ready to step on it. But then you got the bulls who are equally convicted down here, and they're driving it back up. Huge drive up right here, right here, right here. It ended up spiking through right here, so they lost it. But you can see that overall, the bears have actually been winning this argument. But it looks like, as you look at this now on the daily time frame chart, it looks like a little bit like it's actually starting to curl over, right? So we kind of had this kind of price action coming down through here. But now it looks like it's starting to actually kind of make a curve over. So is that actually implying more upside? Can that upside get us into, say, this range right here where we're actually going to back test? This would be nothing more than a back test of this daily channel right here that it actually lost. It lost the daily channel through all of this bearish action right here. But once again, look at how these wicks actually rip right back up. The bulls have always been standing down here at the bottom saying, I want to get a little bit of that action. Because when this thing goes up to 300 or it goes up to 500, as some people have predicted, it's not going to wait for you to get into it. You're going to have to be pre-positioned. And actually, I have a position in this right now on these lows because I love the concrete floor that it's put in. Basically as a foundation. But it's right now, has it been bearish? It's been bearish price action. We're jumping out of this downtrend channel though right now, and that's bullish. We look like we're putting in higher lows, higher highs. So gotta like this. It's looking a lot better now on the hourly time frame chart. Look at this. So you have, actually I prefer to do a circle. There you go. There's a low, there's a higher low. I don't know if you want to call it, we'll call these two the same higher lows. We'll call this a higher high. Here's your higher high. Here's your higher low, here's your higher high. Is this the higher low? If that's your higher low, this is implying that somewhere around here, we're going to get another higher high. And it looks like you're actually putting in a little bit of a channel right here. This started right about here. There's your channel on the top side. So if we just kind of match that down on the bottom side, that's about what you're looking at moving up into that. So that implies really about a 220. And then on top of that, though, you also have the 20-period moving average that we definitely want to pay attention to right here, that it's running up and into, and that's right around this 216, 217 area. So we should actually see a little bit of, it should be a point of interest right there at 216, 217. So let's go ahead and let's get our pre-market highs and our pre-market lows on this. So your pre-market high and your pre-market low is, pre-market high is prior day high. Pre-market high is around 217. And you don't see the dashes on this because it's also got a snapback at that exact same spot. It's 217, 217.25, 217.75. You can see how the bears, they're sitting here and they're waiting. A bear in waiting right here, boom. A bear in waiting, boom. A bear in waiting. Look at this bar. Holy cow. Does it get pushed down again? If it does, if the bears actually lose this argument right here, this is extremely constructive for NVIDIA. Watch and see how price action goes here. I guarantee you when it comes up into this area or up here, it's going to get a hard push down. Do the bears actually push it back up and under the moving averages? Are the bulls not able to carry this over? The bulls are going to need to have some start actually stepping up and have some reactions like this. They need to continue to carry the day because they're starting to put in structure right now. You got higher highs and higher lows on the hourly time frame chart. If you lose the higher highs and the higher lows on that hourly time frame chart, this thing might end up going back down maybe to 205 or 200 where that concrete floor is at that I was talking about. However, if you continue to hold this with higher highs and higher lows, then it looks like 212 actually held. Even though there was several spike throughs and even closes underneath 212, I still think 212 was actually the most important number on NVIDIA in my mind. I could show you why on that, but we don't have time. We're going to continue to move on. It's 7:46. I'm going to end this call. I'm going to end this. It's not a call. I'm going to end this situation right here. in 10 more minutes. So we're just going to take a quick look at the high flyers on the stock market today. So let's look at some of our gap ups. We got service now is just going crazy. It's up 10%. We got a 10% gap up on service now. I'm going to change this time frame chart down here to a 24-hour time frame chart. That way it can kind of give us almost what it looks like on dailies, but it's also going to give us exactly what's going on right now in the pre-market. So you can see we put in a snapback high. So that's telling you right now you need to chill out, okay? And you also got some upper wicks right there, and you also have a pivot high right there at the 140 mark. So this 140 mark, you need to be careful about it. If it can carry up and over the top of the 140, like we were seeing what was going on with Microsoft when it beat its snapback high, then actually this could actually have even more room to run, believe it or not. Why do we think that actually this could have more room to run? Well, let's take a look. Let me do this. Let me actually throw this now on a weekly time frame chart just so we can actually look and see how badly the stock's been beaten up. You see that? That's what we're looking at on the stock. And there's your trend line. So just to even get up to that trend line, right, is going to take us into these moving averages here on the weekly time frame chart. This takes us into the 140, 150 range. We still have another $15 that we could go before we begin to start to see some resistance. And also 168, so 170. Between 140 and 170, you might end up starting to see a consolidation area there, and maybe it tries to actually regain the 200 period moving average. So that would actually be good. But if you look at this on the 4-hour time frame chart, boy, is it removed from the 20 period moving average. When you get that far removed from the 20 period moving average, you can be high flying for a while. As you can see, quite removed here, a little bit of a pullback, and then finally actually has to come back up and tag back up. We're going to need a tag up on the 20 period moving average. I'm not saying it's going to happen today, but this thing here, it can't continue to actually just continue to rip up like that. There will be profit taking. There will be the bears and the shorts looking to actually stomp on this and see if they can get it up underneath of that trend right there. Because if you can get it underneath this trend right here, then you have room to run down to that 20 period moving average, and you make yourself a little bit of money right there. So people will be watching for that, and all stocks pull back, even service now, which actually at one time nobody wanted. So isn't it interesting how the stocks that nobody wanted, everybody wants right now? So another stock I think we should take a look at is Oracle. Oracle's just been going crazy lately. So we got Oracle on the weekly time frame chart. Let me go. You can see actually on this weekly, this is important right here. Let's go ahead and do this. On the weekly time frame chart, you can see that it's broken out of this trend line right here. This was very important right here. So broke out of the trend line, kind of went sideways, put in a very nice bullish bar right here. Two bar pullback and then back into the upside. This is very bullish. I love these 2-bar pullbacks. Another 2-bar pullback. They're not red like this one, but that's a 2-bar pullback into another bullish candle. So we're probably looking at maybe this bullish candle continues on for a little while. This is a weekly time frame chart, but you can see it's about the same size as these other ones. Probably don't have too much more room that it actually could run, but this is going to run a little bit probably this week, and then we're going to go into a couple of weeks of at least a consolidation, a little bit of a consolidation. And you can see that same kind of action playing out over here on the 4-hour time frame chart. Let's go ahead and throw it on 24-hour just to get a view of that. Yeah, and what you see right here is you see very strong bullish candles, and then all of a sudden you get these smaller candles, and there's a doji right there with a snapback. That's not a good look. You want to get over top of that snapback because there is a seller right there. That's what that means. The snapback is a custom indicator that I sell on stockchartistry.com. If you don't have snapback on your chart, you're missing some very important information. I'm going to give you the number on that snapback. On a 4-hour and a daily, on a 24-hour time frame chart, snapback is significant. That's 240. So it needs to get up above 240 and hold 240. If it does that, boom, you got more room to run. However, it's actually right now it's probably actually more of a let's think about this. We've already had a great run already, and it's in a consolidation mode. So there would not be any harm, no foul if this thing decided to actually it's up on the daily time frame, up 4% today in the pre-market. So it would not be any harm, any foul to come back into this moving average somewhere around the 220 area. And you can see that actually lines up with your 200 period moving average on the 15-minute time frame chart as well. So it would not be any harm or any foul. However, you should see a reaction right here on this pivot low right here at 226.29, and you have a pre-market low at 229.60. So that's that stock to take a look at. Guys, IBM has just been insane. I actually jumped into IBM a couple of times, and I did not do the full ride on this. I'm not sure anybody could have anticipated this, but these bull flags, they were all over the place on the hourly time frame chart. Just want to show you, there was a bull flag right here. There was a bull flag. Here was a bull flag. Then you had a bull flag here. You had a bull flag here. I mean, this thing just was, and I wouldn't call this one a bull flag, but you could see I played every one of these bull flags, and I was just loving life, and I had a great week last week. Thank you, IBM. Thank you, IBM. You added to my account. I much appreciate you. Look at this. Look at the way this moving average here is actually just curled up, and it is just got strong as heck. And once again, now what do you see? You see the very first touch of that moving average actually would have been a buy point. I'm not sure we were awake at that time in the morning to actually buy it, but that time would have been, just out of curiosity, when did it hit there? That was about 3 o'clock in the morning, so that was maybe your London session actually bought in on that. You can see also that it had this touch right here. So the 20-period moving average is being respected. It's in a very strong uptrend. Right now, it's actually carrying all of the moving average. So pricing action is over top of all the moving averages. The moving averages are all sloping up, except for the 5 and the 10 are now actually starting to go somewhat sideways as we begin to consolidate this move. And so this move right now is actually 12% up in the pre-market right now. So the IBM is actually just crushing it right now. Let's take a look at Qualcomm. I'm kind of interested to see what's going on with Qualcomm because you know that they're reporting earnings and they're actually down today, which is a little surprising to me. So Qualcomm is actually one of the ones that I have on my list as a breakout opportunity, and you can see why I have it on the list as a breakout opportunity because it's trading right near the highs. And what you got to do is you got to take out this snapback high. Once again, if you don't have snapback on your chart, you're missing big information. 247.90, basically 248. You had some wick aboves, couldn't actually even close above it. Slight close, incremental close above the 248 level. Not good enough. Upper wicks, that's bearish. Back down to the 20-period moving average. It's actually coming into the 20-period moving average right now, guys, at basically at 7:54 on this Monday. You might want to take a look to see how it reacts on this 20-period moving average. I'm on the 24-hour time frame chart there. But you also, when you're looking at this as well, you're actually putting in a snapback low. You're putting it in on a pivot, so you got to love that. You have your 50-period moving average offering some price support for it as well, pushing it back up. Now your 20-period moving average is starting to curl down. You got some pretty bearish candles on this, so you know it could push down back further into this trading range right here where it was at between 191 and 211. But it's definitely worth watching because you got your almost first touch there, but your very first touch right there on the 20-period moving average. Almost always a first touch on a strong impulse is actually a buy opportunity. Now you got your second touch. So your 20 period's not holding as much strength, especially this close to a second touch. And especially with these bearish candles being as bearish as they are. You can see how we had this push down, but then we kind of began going a little bit sideways, starting putting in some dojis, smaller candles. But right now, we're actually like a freight train running right into this 20-period moving average. So we got to see some price action actually support this snapback low. But you got a snapback low on the 4-hour time frame chart. You got a snapback low on the hourly time frame chart. You also have your 200-period moving average. So we're actually building up many areas of confluence. All right, let's add them up. We got one here, all right, 222. We got a pivot, 2. We got the 50-period moving average, 3. We got the 20-period moving average here, 4. We got the 200-period moving average here, 5. We got price support right here, and so it's a pivot off of this reactions right here. So you got that right there, and you also got a snapback. Especially get above that snapback, hold that snapback. This actually looks like it could actually be a bounce play opportunity with a lot of those. But once again, price action's got to dictate. You got to show me that you can at least get over top of this trend, downtrend right here. Actually, I won't draw that as an arrow. Let me just draw it as this right here. You got to get over top of this downtrend right here. You get up and over top of that, then you're going to have to actually, you're going to have to work off some of this overhead supply, because that's what you have going on right here. You have all of this overhead supply right here is going to continue to push the price back down. But is this possibly a low with all those areas of confluence, and with the catalyst of earnings coming up, and with all of the Computex stuff that's going on? Guys, that's it for me for today. You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take a look at what I call the lightning round. We're going to take a look at the 20 stocks that I kind of watch on basically a daily time frame, on a everyday kind of basis, and just see if there's anything out there that's jumping out from us on an hourly time frame chart. So really quick, it looks like Apple is, this is near the daily highs, by the way, all of this price action, okay? But Apple is actually pushing down. So if you lose 309, Apple's actually not looking very good. However, what you end up seeing a lot of times in the pre-market is that if it's going to break this, if it's going to break that trend line right down there, and that's actually a descending triangle, but it has support underneath of it. If it breaks that on the regular trading hours, it actually could run up. So you got to watch this. This is at what I call a point of interest right now. So Apple needs to be on your chart as a point of interest. All right. AMD is actually not doing well on the pre-market. It's down 3%, and you can see it's putting in a snapback low right here. So AMD has been one that actually the dip has been getting bought up. It's down a little bit from last week as well. Oh, okay, no, my weekly numbers actually flipped over now. So now the weekly numbers and the pre-market numbers are actually matching, as you can see right here. And so these numbers, this is another custom indicator available for you on stockchartistry.com. So once again, AMD, it's in the middle of all of this stuff. I don't really see a trade right now on AMD. There's too many other things that actually have opportunity. Amazon's trading down towards the bottom of this price action right here. It's in a trading range. If it loses that price action down there, it actually could end up being a lower low. I mean, trading it for a low. But then also, Amazon's got that same thing going on that Apple has going on. And too many times I have not called this out, where you see that happening in the pre-market, and then the regular trading hours, they actually want to actually run that up on those shorts that have actually gone short in the pre-market and actually grab that liquidity. So that's actually something to watch. Boeing has actually had pretty strong price action going into these areas right here. Kind of like Boeing's chart, all in all, it's putting in a nice consolidation right here towards the highs, right? So if it continues to hold that number right there at 230, Boeing could actually end up being along, and you got to get over top of that 232.50, 232.50 snapback high. Man, Bloom Energy's just been killing it for so long. It's really been for I think last week, it was down slightly that's once again this week. I think it was down actually slightly last week. I can't remember 100%, but it's down 3.44%. It's underneath of that big magic number of 300. It actually has lost this upward trend channel. Might watch maybe some more profit taking out of Bloom Energy. That also fits the thesis that money's coming out of the high-flying winners and possibly going into the beaten down stocks. Speaking of a beaten down stock, look at Microsoft. You got to love that price action. So what you got going on with Microsoft right now is you actually have a very nice triangle consolidation looking to try to break out. We do know that it's extended from the moving averages. Be careful with Microsoft. Coin needs to break that trend line right there and actually show us that it actually can get some legs going stronger. So coin actually coin needs Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been really weak. Intel's trading on the lows. So once again, does money come out of Intel? Does Intel actually go lower? Watch and see if it takes out that low. If it takes out that low, it's possibility for a short. It's also a possibility for, once again, the trade names changing, right? I want you to pay attention to Meta as a sleeper play, possibly, because Meta had the same news as Microsoft in regards to actually monetizing AI. And Meta actually had a very nice move for the week last week, but then Meta kind of got forgotten about. So Meta actually might be one of your sleeper plays to actually take a look at. Once again, keep Microsoft on your charts. Micron's looking great, so I'm actually going to put this box around Micron. It's consolidating towards the highs. If it takes out that snapback high, you're looking good. Netflix continues to put in bear flag after bear flag, but it's not a huge mover to the downside. It's really just kind of lagging. And then NVIDIA, we've already talked about NVIDIA. It's got a lot of work to do to get up above these 200 period and these other stuff, but it seems like it's trying to turn around. So we'll give NVIDIA an applause for that, right? So then Oracle's trading up towards the highs. You got to keep an eye on Oracle. If it breaks that 240 and holds 240, then it's another long. Look at SPY trying to break out of this consolidation range. You got to love this consolidation range. If you're a trader of the SPY, all you need to do is draw a okay, hold on a second. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. All you want to do is just draw a box around this right here. And if it breaks higher than that box, you go long. Breaks lower than the box, you go short. But actually, you got a consolidating after a gap up. That's very strong. So, but maybe we get ourselves a half gap fill or something like that out of the SPY. So who knows? TSM's trading near the highs, so you might want to keep TSM on your list. Like the price action on TSM. And USO continues to ramp up, but it's going to have to hold this snapback high right here. And if USO actually starts going backwards, that's positive for the stock market. So if it loses this area right here around the 132 area, if it loses that snapback high, then maybe we're going to be positive for the market. Guys, the market is hot, hot, hot. Okay, but the traders, they don't care. They keep putting their foot to the metal. They keep pressing the gas as much as they can go. They're wanting to go as fast as they can go. Greed is the name of the game right now. We don't care that it's running hot. We don't care that the engine's getting ready to blow. Keep running with it. As long as the engine's working, you got to keep trading it in the hot direction, guys. It's a buy the dip mentality right now, but it could change in a heartbeat. So be ready to actually flip on a dime. Good luck to you. Have a great day trading. I'll talk to you later.